You think he's going crazy?
All I know is he says he hears a man a mile away chopping down a tree in the forest. He keeps saying chop, chop, chop.
Okay, what is our obligation here?
Let's write up this data set, and then we're getting him to a doctor.
Alzheimer's,
Memory,
stroke,
paralysis,
brain tumor,
surgery,
epilepsy.
seizures.
It's natural to simplify these complex, and let's be honest, scary conditions down to their most identifiable symptoms or outcomes.
But many times these generalizations can make things even more frightening.
Which is why we have worked for years to help our patients and their caregivers more fully understand what they're experiencing and why.
And with so many exciting advances happening in the fields of neurosurgery and neuroscience, we can offer more than just information. We can offer hope.
But we didn't want to wait until people became our patients to share what we've learned in our years of surgery and research. We wanted to bring them into the conversation now. We wanted to bring them something intimate and personal, something that brings our fascination and awe of the brain into their everyday lives.
We led a creative team to turn some of our most compelling and memorable cases dealing with stroke, epilepsy, brain tumors, and Alzheimer's into a 4-act play called Brainworks, the theater of neuroscience.
Mixing neuroscience with live theater allows you to not only explore the wonders of the brain, but also to empathize with the characters on the stage. It provides a very human perspective of how the brain works and what the emotional toll is when it doesn't.
This episode will demystify brain surgery when a patient comes to me with one of my most challenging tumor cases.
Welcome to the Theater of Neuroscience.
Crap! Sean, everything okay? It's freezing out. Weather guy's calling this a snowpocalypse.
Do you hear that?
All I hear is the sound of us crushing that Uniqua account today. How's the data set look to you? Well, data's not gonna crunch itself, is it, Sean? Why don't I go get started? You're the boss, the man. See you inside.
Take a look at what's going on inside Sean's brain.
That's a huge tumor.
It's the biggest tumor I've ever seen, size of a grapefruit. It is really going to be a major intervention.
What's Sean do?
High finance, CEO, super smart and accomplished.
Oh boy, that tumor's right under his frontal lobes. That really raises the bar, especially for a guy like that. How'd he present? What were his symptoms?
Problems at work.
What happened in there, David?
It was so weird.
McCarter from Uniqua is waiting for the study. I told him I'd get right back. What the hell happened in Sean's office?
He said it was urgent, so I was encouraged that maybe he'd picked up the data and written something up. When I walked in, he was standing at the window with his back to me. So I said, "Hey, Sean, thanks for calling me in." And he didn't even turn around. He just stood there. This is totally weird for him, right? And then he walked to his desk, but he didn't sit down. Instead, he looks at me and says, "How's your daughter?" I said, "Sean, I have 2 sons." He says, yes, I'm sorry, but I want to know about your family." I was about to answer him when he points at the wall and asks me, "Do you know how high the regulation basketball hoop is placed?" I told him 11 feet.
It's 10 feet, actually, David.
So he made me take his tape measure and measure 11 feet from the floor. I'm standing on his chair, for God's sakes. His $50,000 chair he won't let anybody touch. I'm standing on it with my filthy shoes, and then he gives me a Sharpie and says, "Please mark it."
No!
Yes! And so I marked an X at 11 feet.
Crap! And you're gonna have to climb back up on that chair and change the X to 10 feet.
Man, he's really off.
That really captures it. He's off. What a perfect way to describe somebody whose frontal lobes aren't working well, because it's hard to pin down exactly what the problem is. Something is just really off. not like one of my stroke patients who can't move an arm.
But more jarring in many ways, because the frontal lobes handle all those intricacies of human life that we take for granted. We would have no inhibitions.
Inhibition is an interesting thing. We so often see it in a negative light, in that it's preventing us from doing something. But stopping a lot of our behaviors is actually critical for surviving and thriving in the modern world.
Not just the modern world. It's the reason the caveman didn't pet a lion. And in many ways, it's why David and Ines aren't telling Sean off right now. When you drive a car, you need both the gas pedal and the brakes. Their frontal lobe's executive function is stomping on the brakes to keep them all from crashing.
And when your boss's executive function isn't working, it's like there's nobody even at the wheel. When we talk about executive function, it's that magical capacity to envision the future and organize your behavior around those future goals. Sean's frontal lobes were keeping him focused, coordinating multiple thoughts. Without them, he's swerving and veering all over the place.
And it's scary, because by all accounts, pre-tumor Sean was a highly successful CEO.
I want this done fast and done right. I want ad recall from the a priori segmentation we discussed. Next, I want it broken down into effective component of attitudes regardless of a priori segmentation. The client wants a bivariate data set, which we can deliver after the first two breakdowns. The F test was scary. I need a deliverable without the mess of chance, or with precise data on chance variables. I want this done right. Metrics matter. We got a 3-day window on all data sets. You can sleep when you're dead.
David, that is the Sean we need back. What am I supposed to tell McCarter about the Uniqua study?
I've got an idea.
Great!
You go in there. You tell Sean you're all ready to shoot the data with trends and market segmentation over to McCarter. See what he says. Go!
That tumor is growing from the base of his skull, just over his eyes.
It's pushing upwards against the bottom of his frontal lobes, the orbitofrontal cortex. The bottom of your frontal lobes controls how you express your emotions. That area, called the orbitofrontal cortex, is always talking to these little almond-shaped structures in the brain known as the amygdala. They are where many of our emotions originate, and the frontal lobe keeps them in check to manage how they are expressed. So Sean's emotional circuits are completely distorted, with tumor pushing that location.
Excuse me, Sean. Everything okay? Sean, can I help you up?
No. Thank you.
I need to talk to you about the status of the McCarter data write-ups. He's already called me 3 times today.
I'm getting used to it.
I'm sorry, getting used to what?
The chopping. There's a man very far away chopping down a tree in the snow. And I hear it all the time. This morning, he was on the street, and now he's in my office chopping. Very far away.
Sean, maybe you should see a doctor. Might clear up some of your worries about this. Very hard to get anything done when you're worried about health stuff. Takes up 99% of your mental real estate. What do you think?
I think it would be nice if you get out of here.
Okay, sure. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I'm talking about him getting out of here. But I'm also getting used to him. He's strong. Chopping down a tree. Such a pretty tree. Blossoms, the whole thing. And leaves, the whole thing. And roots, the whole thing. You know? Why is he doing this? Just chop, 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 chop. I'm tired of it. I'm very tired. This noise.
I understand. Sean,
Chop, chop, chop.
I think we need to get you some help.
Chop, chop,
A doctor can clear up some worries.
chop, chop, chop.
That is amazing. While it's so clear how terribly Sean's orbital frontal cortex is working, look how Innes has kicked it into overdrive. He's holding it together when his boss is acting really, really off.
It's a great example of frontal lobe restraint. Innes is clearly weirded out, terrified, but his frontal lobes are keeping all those fear signals coming from his amygdala in check. His frontal lobes are holding on, hanging in there.
Do not tell his boss off. It's essentially the don't tell your boss to F off circuit.
The frontal lobes are probably the main reason people remain employed.
No doubt. Because once Ennis's amygdala is free to express himself, I'm sure he'll...
Crap!
What went down in there?
Crap.
What the hell happened?
Actually, I sound just like him. I keep saying crap. He keeps saying chop. Maybe I'm going crazy too.
You think he's going crazy?
All I know is he says he hears a man a mile away chopping down a tree in the forest. He keeps saying chop.
Okay. What is our obligation here?
Let's write up this data set, and then we're getting him to a doctor.
I never thought I'd say this, but I want him back.
It's an interesting way of putting it, the idea of bringing someone back.
When the brain changes so dramatically, it's like Sean's whole personality is gone. And if this tumor doesn't come out soon, well, I hope I can bring him back. I'm scheduling him for surgery. It's a huge tumor, Eric, but at least it's a visible target. Like Sean's Sharpie. X marks the spot.
That's in my head?
I'm afraid so, and we have several
But
options.
that's huge. It's the size of a...
Avocado.
Bigger, I'm afraid. More like a grapefruit.
Come on, Ennis, let's give Sean some privacy.
You can stay.
Well, you sure, Sean? I mean, we're not family. We're just...
My basketball team.
Doc, we don't have a basketball team.
Not yet, we don't.
We work together. He's been saying a lot of funny things.
Very common with this type of tumor.
But how did this thing even get started?
This brain tumor and other types of brain tumors in adults are often age-dependent.
Like Alzheimer's?
Absolutely, age is definitely a risk factor.
But I'm not that old.
No, but it has to do with the mutations in your genetic code, DNA, which accumulate over time in your aging cells.
Rewind, Dr. K. Been a while since high school biology.
Sure. A mutation is a change in your DNA because of the environment, or maybe just the cell making a mistake while dividing. But occasionally, a mutation will give the cell an unfair advantage over other cells. It will grow faster. After a certain number of DNA mutations, a cell will no longer listen to the marching orders of the body and become a tumor.
So when did this tumor get started?
You don't really see the beginning of the tumor on an MRI. You don't even see the symptoms at the very beginning.
Because the first mutations happen in your brain years before it ever comes to our attention.
And there's not some magic pill you could have given him 10 years ago to tell the mutating cell to stop?
10 years ago, there definitely wasn't a magic pill. But today, with all the advances in technology and research, we're beginning to understand how these mutations work, and that is allowing us to create custom drugs to treat brain tumors. It's called precision medicine. Depending on the specific mutation you have, you can design a specific drug that will overcome that mutation.
It's like an antidote for a poison. Rattlesnake antidote for a rattlesnake bite.
Cobra antidote for a cobra bite.
Exactly. It has to be specific.
Same as with Alzheimer's. The better we understand the biology, the more treatments we have in the future.
But I'm not living in the future.
The good news is, today, we have a lot more options for taking out this tumor, and you have one of the best brain surgeons on your team.
You're on my basketball team?
Doc, again, no basketball team.
Not yet.
It's okay. In part, it's the tumor talking, and this is really the first step before removing the tumor. First, we have to know where the tumor is in relation to the brain, and we have to know what that part of the brain does. And we want to avoid parts of the brain that have essential functions.
And then you go in.
In a manner of speaking, yes. Our first option is a craniotomy.
Dr. K, I think I'd rather go watch some basketball.
Of course, some patients want to know all the details, others don't. Best thing you could do is get some really good sleep.
Come on, Sean, let's get you to your room. Come on. Come on, Ennis.
Actually, I'm gonna take one for the team and hear this out.
Ennis.
Well, no, I mean, get the whole thing on my phone. If it's okay with the docs. The whole play-by-play. So when our big man comes through this, I can review tape with him. No, Docs, I'll stand out here and be just as quiet and polite.
Are we watching basketball yet?
You and David are. I'm watching this.
You sure? Okay.
The first and most classic way to remove a tumor is to do an open surgery, also called a craniotomy.
Right. So you're thinking with the open surgery, let's make an incision in the scalp where we push the skin on the forehead forward and down. Here, we're going to take a large piece of bone out of the skull. We use specialized drills and saws.
I think people don't fully realize that neurosurgery, while in many ways very delicate, is also like carpentry.
True, in a sense, it's its own form of precision medicine. We tailor the opening and the drilling to exactly where the tumor is, knowing where it's safe to attack it.
For this one, I'll have to make a large opening.
You know, when medical students come to the OR, it's not the blood that makes them queasy, it's the saw hitting the bone. There's nothing like that sound. Anyway, once the bone's off, next stop, the covering of the brain, the dura mater.
Yep, dura mater translates to tough mother in Latin, the leathery membrane that covers and protects the brain. The challenge here is that even after the brain is exposed, the tumor is tucked under the brain itself, almost like a rock hidden under a pillow.
That is the challenge, moving the brain out of the way to get to the tumor. But maybe a better analogy is a rock under a pile of Jell-O, because a pillow won't fall apart if you push on it. Jell-O, on the other hand, is much more fragile.
Absolutely right. So that's the common approach, but given where this tumor is located, I'm thinking of going with a different, newer approach.
The endoscopic approach.
It's amazing how quickly technology has evolved to give us these kinds of options. These thin, low-profile endoscopes allow us to enter through the nose to get at hard-to-reach areas of the brain.
I mean, it avoids touching a lot of brain, less Jell-O to move to get to the rock.
Exactly. Straight to the rock. It's so much less invasive.
Sounds like you've decided. The endoscopic approach?
Definitely.
That was awesome, first half.
I thought you were going to be quiet.
Well, it's hard to not get excited about the second half when I know you actually go in for the rock. I mean, who doesn't want to see a giant pile of Jell-O?
Ines, you should stay with David.
Thank you.
Albert has a broad array of technologies available to him. The OR, in many ways, is like a spaceship that surrounds the team with more computers and machines than one would think possible. An anesthesia machine is keeping Sean unconscious. It's doing his breathing, and it's monitoring his heart rate. There's a technology to help navigate the anatomy, almost like a GPS system for the brain. Albert has an endoscope that gives him a panoramic view inside Sean's head. An 8-ton MRI scanner is ready to scan Sean when Albert is done. Albert can now see inside Sean's brain. Nearby are the carotid arteries, that pulse you feel in your neck. A tiny hole in that vessel will lead to blood gushing out with enough force to hit the ceiling. But what it really comes down to are those moment-by-moment decisions Albert has to make to get a good outcome for Sean. Sometimes those moment-by-moment decisions are small, and at other times...
Stop. Wait. I was not expecting this. Strange.
What is it, Albert?
I didn't see it on the MRI. There's a bit of the tumor I just can't reach out to the side, and I can't get it through the nose. He's too young for us not to take out every single tumor cell.
I agree. What are you going to do? Let's look at what's going on inside Albert's head. His current focus is being mediated by those parts of the brain known as the dorsal attention network, what we'll call DAN for short. DAN is filtering out all non-essential information from the task at hand, namely taking this tumor out. But sometimes information's coming in that causes us to shift our attention or change our mind. That's a different part of the brain, the ventral attention network. And right now, those two systems, Dan and Van, are duking it out. Dan's saying, stay the course. Van is saying, shift directions. Sean's life may well depend on who wins this argument.
Okay, we need to change course here. It could mean either curing him or the tumor coming back. We have to convert to an open surgery.
I thought he'd be out of surgery by now.
Crap. That means we're in overtime. OT.
Ines, maybe stop with the basketball metaphors.
It gives me a framework. Metaphor, whatever you want to call it. This is scary, and it helps me to process this in terms I can relate to.
Okay, we're in OT here. Well, one neat thing about all this is we're kind of getting to know Sean.
Neat.
Trying to focus on the positive.
How can you be getting philosophical when we are in this torture chamber called OT?
I don't know. Like you said, I'm scared. Maybe this is my way of trying to process.
How's our big man? How's he doing? Oh, wait, no. And then no need to sugarcoat it. Just come right out with it, Dr. K. No, in fact, you don't even need to speak. Just give us a sign. Yeah? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways.
Innes, he's doing really well.
Like really, really, really well. Or just like really well. Because something went down, right?
Yes, we knew the tumor was large, and I found it was stuck to the carotid artery. That took more time to figure out and deal with.
So the inside the nose play, it worked?
Well, yes, but there was an added surprise. With the endoscope, I discovered an additional part of the tumor, not seen on the MRI, and I made the decision to convert to a craniotomy.
Wait, so you did both? Inside and outside lanes?
I have no idea what you're asking me.
No, I'm telling you, you got mad skills. MVP skills, Dr. K. Thank you. You're awesome.
You're welcome. We'll be sending the tumor next to pathology.
Look, I can't take another game.
You brought him here. You've been a fighter for Sean. Innes, you can take it.
Will his basic personality return?
He may not be exactly the same, but I expect a good recovery. Often people after this kind of surgery recover completely, but there are no guarantees.
We understand. Thank you, doctor.
MVP. MVP.
Thank you both. Sean's lucky to have such good friends.
Sean. Friends. Hey, David. We're friends of Sean's.
We're Sean's friends.
I want the transportation figures from the last 5 years and a history of all demographics in connection with who's riding which lines at which hours. Now, this data set has the potential to bifurcate both. What? What is so funny?
Nothing. Just watching you brainstorm and bifurcate is fun.
Ennis, this is a place of work, a work ground, not a playground.
Yes, of course, Sean, but what about the bifurcating data sets? Sean, you were saying? Sean, are you okay?
No, I'm not okay.
I'm calling Dr. K.
What? What is that X doing up there? Who the hell did that?
Oh, when the tumor was talking, you told someone.
That's someone being David.
Me, yes. You gave me a Sharpie and told me to mark an X where a basketball hoop might go.
And you did this at my behest.
I did.
Interesting. What if we did put a hoop up there?
Really?
Well, David, you could bring in your sons to shoot a little.
They don't play basketball. But yeah. And you know who you really should invite is Innes's daughter. She loves basketball.
Like father, like daughter.
Fine. Maybe she could teach me how to aim the damn thing. And we could talk market research if she's at all interested.
In being on our basketball team.
Yes. Sure.
Great. But, Sean, if you're really serious about this, that X is up too high. The regulation basketball hoop is at 10 feet. That X is at 11.
How do you know exactly how high that X is?
Precision's my game. Metrics matter, as my boss always says.
Well, I will trust your knowledge base, and I'll get a hoop up in here at the proper height by tomorrow. Chop, chop.
Chop.
What?
Well, it's chop, 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 right? No, the big, strong man in the snowy forest was chop, chop, chopping.
What is the matter with you, Ennis?
He's just nervous talker saying that we're glad to have you back, Sean.
Well, it's good to be back.
Albert, that was strong work.
Thanks. It was a beast.
Understood, but at least a tumor is a beast that you can see.
It's still scary, but you're right. At least I knew what I was dealing with.
There's a comfort in that level of certainty, even when it's scary. My patients with epilepsy would jump at that level of certainty, of knowing, because there's monsters in your brain that you can't see. And so many of my patients are weary from trying to find them.
Like your patient with seizures, the long-distance runner. What was her name?
Riley.
I feel like I'm being betrayed. By my mind. My body feels strong, but my mind...
Last race, you ended up lost in the woods. Do you know how that happened?
No,
You don't remember anything?
nothing. I just spaced or something.
But let's look what's going on inside her brain. Here's your normal brain activity. All's looking normal. But wait and watch when the seizure hits now.
Whoa, that is so messed up.
Pure chaos.
For more information on Brainworks, the Theater of Neuroscience, visit brainworkstheater.org.